commissioned by the dictionary for the 2012 edition to define stress. What does it mean? What is stress? Okay, yeah. Ambivalence of outcome. Okay, that's a good definition.
State of unrest.
State of unrest. Okay. What else? Overwhelm. Thank you. You said overwhelm. Thank you. Now this is interesting because, as I said, when we came into existence, we were talking to agencies like the NHS and the Health and Safety Executive, and they've all got different definitions of stress. And none actually, for me, was the one that hit the nail on the head. It wasn't one that you could use in every situation and everyone would understand. Would it be okay with you if I share with you our definition? Okay. Our definition didn't come from a medical professional, didn't come from an academic. It came from an engineer. Because interestingly, engineers know a lot about stress. Maybe not to people, might be to bridges or buildings or bits of metal, but they get stress. Now, I'm going to ask you to use your imagination because I don't have a flip chart for demonstration purposes, so we'll work together on this and use our imagination. I'd like you all to imagine a bridge, a tower bridge if you will, only because I find it easy to imagine that. I made the mistake of speaking at a conference in Glasgow recently, and I asked them to imagine Tower Bridge, and people started throwing things at me and leaving the room, so I learnt my lesson there. Be careful of the audience needs. But yeah, if you could think of a bridge like Tower Bridge, and you start putting weight onto that bridge. If I'm putting, firstly, red double-decker buses, and then on top of those double-decker buses I put HMS Belfast, and then on top of HMS Belfast I put a couple of Boeing 747s. And then some elephants and whales, and I'm literally stacking on the weight till it's way beyond the towers. Eventually what's going to happen? It's going to break, right? You all agree eventually it will collapse if I put enough weight on it. Yeah, would you all agree with that? Now before it collapses, we're going to get a clue it's not doing too well. How do we know this bridge is about to go? What indication will it give us that it's not coping particularly well? Cracks? What else? Creaking, bowing, buckling, groaning, etc., etc. You all agree that it's going to give us some indications that it's not coping particularly well. Now, when that's happening, what choices do we have? So the bridge is bowing and buckling, groaning and creaking, too much weight on top. What choices have we got to prevent that bridge from collapsing? We can take some weight off, yeah, or what else could we do? Concrete blocks, iron girders underneath it to give it the support it needs. Now, when an engineer described stress to me in that way, I thought, well, hold on a minute, that's very interesting. Because people are exactly the same. What if you turned up at your place of work tomorrow, you opened up your computer, and there's 3,147 emails in your inbox. 250 of those have been red flagged as urgent. And let's say you work with a team, or there's people that you rely on to deliver your work responsibilities, and you're looking around and there's no one there. And you ask around to find out what's going on, and apparently whilst you're at Yes Group, they all came down with the squirrel flu. Squirrel flu is this new type of flu, you heard about it here first. So they've been quarantined, they can't come into the work environment, they can't help you in any way. So you're sitting there trying to get your head around this, and the phone goes, and it's your children's school, and your children will come down with chicken pox and nits at the same time. So they need to be collected, you need to make childcare arrangements. You're thinking, how can this all possibly be happening at the same time? And then you get another phone call, it's the council, and they've dropped a lamppost on your roof, they're doing some building work on the street. So you've got no roof, no electricity, no water. And then the phone goes again, you think it must be your children's school, but actually it's your mother, and all your long-lost relatives from overseas are coming over for a surprise visit this weekend, and they're going to be staying at your house. If I kept going, now I appreciate I'm using some ridiculous examples, but you get where I'm going with this. If I keep putting demand, if you keep having challenges thrown at you, eventually what's going to happen? If I kept going in that vein, what would happen eventually? Go to Hawaii? But what would happen eventually? Yeah? But if it just kept coming thick and fast, would you agree that eventually it would get to the point where you wouldn't be able to cope anymore? Just like the bridge. When the weight gets too much, eventually you're going to collapse under the weight. That collapse is different for many people. Okay, it could be getting ill, getting exhausted, getting depressed, having a burnout, having a breakdown. But before that happens, we get a clue. Bowing and buckling. What does that look like in a person? How do we know when someone's not doing too well, when their bridge is bowing and buckling? Loss of patience, yeah? Snapping? Sorry? Weight loss, weight gain, yeah? Staying in bed, yeah? No energy? Miserable? Or the reverse, they could be angry and aggressive, withdrawn. But habits, what kind of habits do people that are bowing and buckling demonstrate? Negative, yeah? Yeah, maybe drinking more, smoking more, drug use. And ultimately, that person hasn't collapsed yet, but they're letting us know that they're not coping particularly well. Now, in modern life, I appreciate, in the 21st century, it's not easy to take stuff off your bridge. I can't take stuff off my own bridge. You know, I can't just get rid of stuff because I can't cope with it. You know, you may have children, you can't just send them off to the grandparents because you've got too much on your plate. You can't get rid of your work